I have a big issue with a lot of these early career vets that have only been out 6-8 months.
Doing relief.
Relief.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. Yes. And that's where you have to have internship experience if you're going to do it. I went straight to relief, but I had 10 years as a tech and I had a whole year of an internship. So
And you also had a mentor you could call on the phone if you needed to.
Yeah. And when I was doing it, I was in a specialty hospital with people around, it's like you could bounce ideas off of people. So I felt confident enough that was the right route for me. And I was also doing it at the hospital that I relieved at, or that I did my internship at. So for me, it was either take a job there or do relief. It was the same stepping stone. And then I started bridging out to other hospitals. So my bridge out was slow. I didn't just immediately go into a new, hospital right away, but I waited until I felt good at each one and then gradually added more and more.
So what are some of your relief nightmares that you can remember? You don't need to be specific as far as calling anybody out, but
there's a urgent. It was an ER, but it was really more of an urgent care because there was no specialists there, and they closed in the morning, usually at 6 a.m. We had to transfer everything. And the first couple of times I worked there was great. The staff was really on it, and that makes such a difference for efficiency for me. If I have a staff that's, here's the next case, and I already wrote a little bit down, and here's the record, stuff like that really helps my efficiency. So the staff there is always really on it. But the last time I went over, I think management had changed, and
you mean they sold?
No, it still was not corporate.
Oh,
well, you know what? Maybe it was actually. I'm not sure. Regardless, though, it was in a smaller town. There were 24/7 ERs kind of within the 30-mile radius away from it. But a lot of stuff came right to you, like critical stuff that should have gone straight to specialty care.
But in that defense,
yeah.
30 miles in California could take you 4 hours.
Oh, totally. Yeah. I should have said 30 minutes more 30 minutes. Depends on how fast you're going.
Exactly.
No, but I had a case, a Yorkie, little dog that somebody had dropped a 30-pound weight on its head, and it came in, and I just really thought there's no way. This dog was already seizing. It already had a heart rate of 20, when it came in, and you could palpate skull fractures. I mean, it was, I can't believe how critical. That was one of the biggest emergencies I think I've had. The brain's already hurting at that stage,
right.
when the heart rate's that low. And we're just pushing mannitol, we're pushing hypertonic, we're doing all the things. I put a catheter in by myself. Someone else is working on the back end. And the clients, they were really fantastic owners. They really wanted to try. I, warned them, I really just think we can give everything and it's not going to be enough. And sure enough, that little dog lived. And I definitely was, up all night, standing by that cage every second.
Blood sugar low at all?
High. Yeah,
high.
Because of the head trauma. Yeah, high. We had it elevated, oxygen, all the things. I mean, the most critical for sure. There was other stuff that popped up, but the heart rate never got above 30 all night. And the blood pressure was high. And we ended up transferring it the next morning to neurology, and they did an MRI, and it just had hemorrhage everywhere, brain. And the dog lived and only had one minor deficit. The neurologist called and was like, "Good job."
Yeah.
So
that's always a pat on the back when the specialists call you and say, "Great catch."
Yeah.
Great job.
Oh man, but having that in essentially an urgent care setting, I would have loved to have taken that straight to ER, but the dog wouldn't have lived. The owners were they got that dog in then 10 minutes in, so that one, but stuff like that. But the next time I went back up there, it was during COVID. Everything was different. Oh, what a nightmare. Yeah. Talk about some PTSD.
Yeah.
There were dogs that had been in cages waiting to be seen for hours before I had gotten there. And I was like, this is not, all of these things are super sick. All of them were critical, and I couldn't even. And I love
3 had
emergency.
parvo, 1 had a pio, 1.
Oh yeah, the day that Yorkie came in, a dog had also eaten gopher bait and was vomiting. So we're having to evacuate that part of the building because it makes the gopher bait that makes what's the gas that when they vomit? It might be, yeah. It's not one that I've seen commonly, but yeah, that we're having to put that dog in isolation with a separate vent system. I mean, yeah, that was happening literally in the midst. I think I was on the phone with poison control for that dog when the Yorkie came in. So it was just like, I mean, that's my jam. Like, I love doing it, but that was definitely. But the next time I went up,
that's when you can't panic, right?
Yeah.
You got to tell your technician, get on the phone with poison control.
Yep.
You write down everything they say.
Yep.
Tape it if you need to. I got to get over here.
Exactly.
But if you would have panicked,
wouldn't have happened.
Neither one would have.
No. And I mean, honestly, I think the thing that's nice about ER is in some ways, and maybe this will help new practicing vets, like it's scary to hear all these things and how sick they are. But that Yorkie had, a 1% chance of living. So anything that you are doing your best, and if it doesn't live, like you knew you did your best. Like there's no expectation. I think for me, it would be harder going into routine surgeries and having that loss of a seemingly healthy puppy, and it happens. Like
under anesthesia.
Totally.
Absolutely.
That for me would be
it's like
harder than an ER where it's like this pet is so sick and it pulled through, but there was always that worry that it wouldn't, and that was already there for the clients. They already knew these were possibilities.
Do you have that case that you remember that still lives in your? You'll never forget.
That died?
Yeah.
Yeah, I do. I got one. There's always one. Yep. And it's always the one I'll never forget because in school they taught us, and I'm glad they did. It was a hard pill to swallow, but they said, you will make a mistake. You'll make many, but you will miss something, make a mistake, either that you missed a diagnosis, you got it too late, you made a small fumble, and a pet will die because of it. And that is something you have to know going into it. And I remember thinking, no way, I'm too, not no way, like not like I'm better, but like I can't let that happen. I'm going to be like so much more prepared. I'm not going to let that happen. But no matter what you do, there will always be one. And that happens all the time in human medicine. Honestly, I think much more in human medicine because it's such an assembly line, you have less time for your cases. These ones I feel like I'm giving more. But yeah, there's definitely ones where you'll miss. And mine was very likely, I'd put all of my money on a bet that it was dietary DCM. And it was before that was a thing. And I literally remember telling the client after I did.
What was the breed of dog?
It was I can't remember. It was a large breed.
Probably
Aussie. I think it was an Aussie
grain-free. One of those grain-free diets.
No, it was a vegetarian soy-based diet. So it was a 1 or 2 year old dog, and their other dog had. The weirdest thing is their other dog had just died, like in the ER. Completely different signalment. An old small breed dog with neurologic symptoms that died, and it was hypotensive. I didn't see that case, and they bring this dog in because they're worried now. Maybe the other dog got a toxin, they don't know, and they're worried this dog's just a little cough, like very mild symptoms. And I made that promise, oh, it's okay, I'm sure you're so worried, your last dog died, your dog seems very stable, it's going to be okay. Boom. It wasn't okay. And, you live and learn. You do not make that promise to ease people because ever. And I knew that. And I literally remember biting my tongue after I said it as like, I'm jinxing this case. And, toxin was a possibility with the history with the other dog. And, RADS looked like maybe diffuse
the diet
pneumonia.
To you was the toxin, right? The more you think about it.
Oh, yeah. But the RADS weren't super clear. And I remember my mentors being like, this looks like pneumonia. Let's try pneumonia treatment. And I'm like, something's not right with me here. And I ended up getting on the phone, submitting the RADS behind everyone's back for a radiology review because I was like, I think we are missing something. And they personally called me, the radiologist, and they said, this looks like atypical DCM, and this is really surprising. This young dog, I'm not convinced. And I knew. And after the dog, we tried everything to get the dog back through that, and we couldn't. And I remember telling the client, I really think this is the diet. I think that we see it in cats. I mean, we used to see it in cats, dietary
Cocker Spaniels.
Yeah, and I said we used to see it in cats, and I bet you that this is going to be something in 5-10 years we figure out with these new diets. but there's nothing published in dogs right now.
Oh, don't get me started on all the fad diets that
Oh my
came out
gosh,
with.
yeah. Well, that's another thing.
I'm
not in GP, so I don't have to have the diet talk.
Exactly. But I mean, I got to the point with those diet talks that I just stopped the conversation. I'm just like, okay, you're going to feed what you feed, but I'm telling you it's not the best. Let's move on.
Yeah.
First, it was raw food diets. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Well, now with avian influenza, you better watch out. Cats, huge high fatality rate for cats with avian influenza. And raw diets are now being implicated as well as raw milk.
If you're feeding a raw diet to your pet, you're just you're asking to go to the hospital personally.
Yeah, or your child when they shed salmonella and E. coli and all that. Yeah.
Were you at the clinic when I had a lady who came in with a Great Dane puppy and she was feeding raw food diet?
Well, maybe.
Her 3 kids ended up in the hospital with salmonella.
Shit. I do not remember that.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
And everyone who's feeding a raw food diet, I always tell the client, I'm like, go to the CDC website and read the horror stories.
Yeah. Well, now that won't be online anymore, but we're temporarily paused. Science is on hold. Yeah. Well, no, I mean, I think that's hard because I think marketing has really pushed this. Vets are making a kickback from these other diets. I'm like, I get a pen, once every 5 years from Purina. I'm not recommending a diet based on this pen.
I know, they don't even bring us lunch anymore.
No, you're not allowed to because you could be swayed by lunch. You can't have a free lunch. That's how I got by in vet school was the lunch lectures.
Well, we got free dog food in vet school.
Oh, nice.
You're not
allowed to get that anymore. They stopped. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Hills stopped it first, and we had to start paying like cost.
Yeah.
Which was... nothing.
Yeah. And I mean, I think the reality is that marketing just really pushes that. And I feed my dogs that for a reason.
The other one that gets me is there's a veterinarian in Orange County that says he gives holistic vaccines. And so finally I was like, B12. What the heck does that mean?
Holistic vitamin B12.
So basically what he does is he does thimerosal-free rabies.
Really? And he's calling it holistic? Wow.
And he gives it with a B injection.
Of course he does.
A B12
in the
injection.
Same syringe, which you don't know what it does to that vaccine.
You don't know. Don't get me started.
Mix it.
And then and then also, don't get me. There's so many things that can trigger me that just like in this profession.
Yeah.
And the point I'm doing this, I started this podcast is I just want all these early career vets to understand that there's a lot of shit that goes down.
Yeah.
There's a lot of shit that can hurt you emotionally, physically, mentally.
Yeah.
But we all get through it.
Yeah, and I think there needs to definitely be more emotional intelligence stuff and more talk on, because again, we were told you're going to make this mistake, you're going to get a board complaint. Like, I think that those things need to be not normalized because it's not something we want to accept, but just talk. There needs to be more morbidity and mortality rounds, like talking about the mistakes that were made so that you can move past it. Like in human medicine, they have an emphasis on that. You bring these cases up and it normalizes it, takes the pressure off of you, and it helps you learn from that so it doesn't happen again. And in medicine, that is what we do. We're always learning. There's always going to be the next best thing in a week,
Right.
But if we don't talk about it, I think that that's something that needs to happen way more.
Well, the first dissertation I was looking at the idea of perfectionism, right? Because we're accepting these kids with these high IQs because they get the 4.0s and the perfect GREs and whatever else.
Not the GRE, but
right. Yeah. But the thing is, like, those kids are perfect. They probably were perfect in high school as well, right?
Yeah.
So the concept of you will make a mistake.
Yeah. It
kills them when it does happen.
Yeah. And I mean, honestly, the only reason that I had a 4.0 was because I knew I was so driven to go to vet school and I knew how hard it was to get in. So I really I was strategic with my schedule in undergrad to make sure I balanced out the hard classes with the not hard classes so I could, really balance that out. And I made sure I had experience in research in large animal and small animal. Like I just made sure I had it all because I wasn't willing to, I guess, put 5 years into applying. There was no other backup plan for me. But yeah, I think it definitely is looking for perfectionism. It's breeding perfectionism. Like that is what you are needing to get in, and that's not necessarily
It's not going to happen. We haven't
Yeah.
perfected
No.
veterinary medicine. It's called
No.
practicing.
Totally. No,
veterinary
I
medicine.
agree with you. I absolutely agree. And I think, there was no interviews for the schools. I got into Washington, Oregon, CSU, as well as an interview at Davis, which I didn't do because I wanted to move out of state. And none of the other ones required an interview. And I thought that was nice. A starving, student didn't have to fly out there. I think that the interviews need to be there because you're going to really.
There's still schools that don't require interviews.
No, none of those schools required it except for Davis.
They still don't.
Yeah. And I think just a virtual one, like so people don't have to fly out, but you can really tell a lot about a person. I mean,
especially as you get older.
Very early
Especially
on.
as you get older,
Yeah.
let me tell you.
Oh, yeah.
Because when you're in your mid-20s, mid-30s, you're still a little ignorant to that people
Totally.
there are some people that there are people that you're dying to say hi to.
Yeah.
There's people you can't wait to see.
Yeah.
There's people that you won't even walk across the street to say hello to. Right?
Yeah. It's true. Yeah.
And I'm very lucky. As I've aged, I've learned to surround myself with people that I believe have the same values I do.
Yeah.
Right. And I think as far as this profession goes, I only talk to the people and invite people on here that I believe had the same ideas and concepts.
Well, you didn't invite me. Mal did. So what does that
No,
say?
I brought Mallory here because I couldn't get people in. I just was like, okay, I need help.
Yeah.
Get me some people.
Yeah.
And she's like, okay. And then all of a sudden, boom.
Influx of people.
I had my surprise guest. One of my surprise guests so far has been Morgan.
Oh, nice. Gosh, it's been a while.
Yeah. See, exactly. It's been a while. So it's great to see all my little minions.
Yeah, you
that
guys
said they were going to come back and work for me and end up other places.
Yeah, I couldn't go back to
exactly.
GP. I know, and then but I was like, well, even now I keep thinking, okay, can I bridge the gap? I love clients, so that's not what's holding me back. I think just medicine-wise, I really like ER, but now with my physical stuff slowing me down a little bit, I think that I've reconsidered going the GP route, and I do some.
But just do relief GP.
That's the problem. I did relief GP once, and I split one tech between two doctors at a new hospital, and it did not go well. Like, that was hard for me to really be efficient, and I'm like to be efficient. So
I still want to get to the topic you want to talk about, but let me ask you one last question about this. What's your idea, or how would you feel graduating vet school? You get a $200,000 signing bonus, $200,000 a year, but they throw you in the practice and you're there by yourself.
No, I don't think you should. I think that there's less. I mean, I think in some ways they're doing more on preparing with the communications and stuff like that. And knowledge base wise.
Were you ready day one? Like if they would have thrown you into a practice day one, go. No one else at the practice.
I wouldn't have liked that because I like to be able to know. Like I like to really be able to get to the bottom of a case. I also felt more ready than I think. I felt pretty ready, but I would never do that on my own, and I wouldn't recommend it for other interns or people freshly graduating. I think some people who have been in the field for a long time probably could handle it, but yeah, you get a surgical emergency, you're on your own, and this amount of surgery that you're getting in school is. We had a pig lab, but that's gone now. Yeah. And it sucks. Like you don't want to think about these learning cases, right? You got to think about these ethical
dilemmas
for sure. And I am definitely evaluating all of these situations. But if you have a case that is already going to be terminal, no matter what, this animal is sick, it's going to be terminal. Like I want to be able to use that learning experience with a pet fully under anesthesia that's not feeling anything. That pet didn't get slaughtered. It got euthanized in a very humane way and a more humane way. But we got to learn to be able to save 6 dogs with 6 different surgeries.
That's
for 2
an interesting
people.
concept.
Like and I really sat there. I'm like, do I want to do this? Am I okay with this? But it's like 100%. They didn't come here for us to learn and then get euthanized. They were getting euthanized. They specifically got them for that. so that ethical part was taken away from me. And, so I felt, and we didn't wake them up from surgery. We,
It was really hard. We had one lab like that at Illinois.
Dogs.
Oh.
Yeah. See, we didn't have dogs. I don't know that would have been a lot harder for me.
Hey, I had a pet pig. So
you did? Yeah. I know you did. I mean, no.
Yeah,
I was watching the video in the rain. You don't know how many people, whenever I'm having a bad day, I look for that video.
Yeah.
Of your pig in the rain.
It's on all our socials.
I know. I wanted a pig for the longest time.
Waffles was probably, I still am, it's been a month and a half, and it still hits me so hard. You don't realize how your life changes when you have, talking about OCD.
Yeah.
Like, he knows it's 6:30, he knows it's 2 o'clock, and he knows it's 6 o'clock.
Feeding time.
Those are feeding times. And if you don't, the world comes to an end.
Oh, yeah. They are like the pity that I got from Canyon, Stoney. He was like the pig, like, that stubborn, but like the best kind of personality. Oh,
yeah.
Yeah. And I saw your farewell video, and I mean, it was really touching. Like, I'm so sorry. I can't imagine.
Yeah. I've never done that for any of my animals that I've loved to death.
Yeah. And that actually, it was nice to see that soft side of you, because you don't show that very often. So.
I'm not soft.
Yeah, I know you are.
And again, it happened. I have, my wife and 3 daughters.
Yeah.
And that's how I said I changed.
Yeah,
it changes everything.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Okay, let's go on your little rant here.
Oh, no. You want to go on the VPA thing?
Yes, go for it.
Wait, I have to tell you, though, before. Day one, I was telling Mal about this. My first day at Canyon, this is a shout out to Dr. Hamill, who I haven't seen in 20 years. My first day at Canyon, very first case that I walk into with him. And I'm 16. I'm a go-getter. I have no idea what I'm walking into. Dr. Hamill doesn't prepare me. Guess what it was?
What?
Semen collection on a Great Dane.
Oh, we always do the first.
And I'm just
it's an initiation.
I knew it.
It's an initiation.
Yeah, I knew it. And he didn't say anything, just a completely straight face. And I'm like, oh, man, okay. And I'm the person in anatomy, like, you tell me not to laugh, I'm going to laugh.
Oh, absolutely.
That is, yeah.
You
if
say
it was
penis or vagina, I'm laughing.
And my anatomy teacher was the same way, which is great. But Dr. Hamill is very professional and very serious.
I'm not.
I know you are not. I would have gotten that right away. I knew it was an initiation.
I think I told the story on a podcast, but, we made the mistake of getting a consultant. We were using a consultant to run our practice.
Okay.
And their recommendation was always to raise prices and fire people. And I'm like, there's easier ways to do this.
Yeah.
But he's like, you're charging Neiman Marcus prices, but you dress like you're in Walmart, because I wore scrubs.
What?
So I kind of took that to heart. And so I wore khakis and a button-down shirt. And my first appointment that day was a collection.
I knew it.
And it went all over me. First appointment, 8:15 in the morning. Never again.
No, there is a reason why you wear scrubs, because it gets gross. And I remember walking in when I was a tech.
Dude, during COVID, I was wearing shorts and a sweatshirt. It was
that does not
best.
surprise me at all.
It was the best.
You're wearing sandals too?
No sandals. That's an OSHA violation.
Yeah, true. Yeah. I remember I was a tech in an ER, busy ER, and I was on Parvo that week because, in Arizona, we had Parvo every day.
Yeah.
And so your clothes, it's your worst pair of scrubs that you're wearing. Everything's you get bleach, whatever.
And you can't get that smell off your skin either.
No. I walk in and a dog I bend down to look at a dog. It jumps on me and its paw hit my scrubs, turned him into like ashless chaps. Got like my bleached underwear showing through. That was great. I was like, okay.
That's awesome.
My day. That's the start of my day.
It's a new form of tie-dye.
Yeah, there you go. Never again.
Okay, go on your rant.
Okay, VPA. So what do you think about the VPA? What do you know about it? Veterinary
in Colorado?
Oh, yeah.
I had this conversation. I do podcasts with a veterinary student out of Western named Garth.
Okay.
He has a podcast called Veterinary Vibes. Shout out, Garth. And he was talking to me about it. And it depends how far they let them go.
I tell you already. Have you listened? Have you been watching the stuff coming out with Bob Murdaugh?
No. How far do they want to let him go?
So essentially what they're trying to do, and you got to look at the relationship between
Do
human
they want to do a
medicine,
spay for me?
splenectomy, unsupervised, they want to do it all. So,
I'll
yeah,
let them do a spay,
yeah,
especially that 120
yeah.
pound golden. But the
No,
problem is my
no,
license is on the line.
100%. So here's the issue. This is exactly what happened on human medicine. And I'm in a One Health group where MDs are basically warning us, like, you need to unionize. You need to stop this immediately because this is going to ruin your profession. It's going to ruin care for all these animals. So all these private equity groups came in, which is exactly what we're seeing. People with no business, no knowledge of medicine at all.
Other
coming
than
in.
you can run it from a spreadsheet.
Totally, yeah. They're coming and they're buying all these practices. And you know what? I got to admit, I'm drawn to that because, and even though I don't want to be, from a specialty standpoint, they have the nicest equipment that lets me do my job better for these patients. It's a beautiful hospital, more standardized staff. There are perks to it that I know, like all these corporates are probably going to have this level of care versus
unless they run yours into the ground.
Totally. So there are a lot of bad things about it too, but from an emergency standpoint, they took over the big emergencies pretty early on, and those were the ones that we had.
Is the biggest one veg?
No, I wouldn't say the biggest one. Veg is a newer one. I mean, they're all over now, but I would say VCA is still probably bigger. And I worked at a lot of great VCAs. Like, I'm not the ones where they let you run it on your own, and not all of them are created equal. It really depends on who they have in management, but I worked at some great ones. The issue that I have is they're coming in and buying out everything and putting all the people who want to have private practices out. I don't want to get too far into that because that'll go down a whole other rabbit hole. So all these private equity firms coming in, investing in all these practices, and now monopolizing the market and raising the prices. We can't control that, and the people who want to own a practice, if you buy your product, these corporates, are buying 10,000 products for every one that you buy. So they're getting Walmart pricing and still charging whatever rate. You're paying twice as much. You can barely mark it up if you want to compete with their prices. But now they're monopolizing it so they can just raise.
Lesson on private equity?
Yeah.
So the way private equity goes is they see a fragmented market, right?
Okay.
So in veterinary medicine terms, no two practices are the same. Do you agree?
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
So it's fragmented.
Yeah.
So they basically believe that they can come in, buy out all the vet practices, and then get all the price control.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
And that's what they're doing.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. Now
and the people that are hurting the most are the staff.
Yeah.
Because they don't get raises.
Yep.
And also the clients.
Yeah.
Now doctors are getting paid well.
Yeah, I would say so. But the thing is that they're raising the rates for clients to such a high level that it's not sustainable. And now they're realizing it's too high. And yes, the price of the medicine, the price of everything has gone up, which definitely increased the cost of care. But it is getting higher and higher in some places that it's just unsustainable.
My wife's practice has had 5 fee increases in the past year.
Yeah, I'm not surprised. And again, everything that goes into running a hospital is up. But I remember, when I was a tech in an ER in Arizona, if you looked at the bottom line, ER was actually always in the red, no profit. The only reason they kept it open was so they could have it be a specialty hospital. The specialty ones were in the positive, and that helped with the ER balance. Now, I don't know, because I don't, I don't look at the numbers at all, but yeah, I just think that there is an unhealthy level of control in the market, and that we have no say over. I do think that some of the practices like Veg pays their support staff incredibly well. They do. And so at least I know that some of that is going to a living wage, and it should. But so basically they're buying out all of this. Well, now they want to decrease their costs. Their profits are getting higher because they've monopolized it. At first, the prices were the same for clients and the pay for us was better. Well, now they're raising it. They're bringing in mid-levels like they did in human medicine so that they pay less for what they perceive to be the same value. So VPAs, there's a veterinarian named Bob Murdaugh. And Bob Murdaugh, if you look at his history, and I can send you his website.
I know who he is.
Yeah, so Bob Murdaugh, he used to be a professor. Then he started in the VCA, worked his way up VCA. And then he became partner and chief medical officer or veterinary officer of Thrive. Grew Thrive exponentially to like over 400 hospitals, which she brags about, kind of being on this corporate train. And I've not heard great things about him from a management standpoint.
But Thrive used to be something else.
Yeah, it did, and then they changed.
It used to be Pathways.
Yeah, it used to be Pathways. So then they changed.
Yeah, and Pathways was going down,
and then he went in. Well, he's partner. He does not work there anymore, but I imagine, and I want to kind of do some more digging on the.
He lives in an estate.
I'm sure.
In Kauai.
Oh, I'm sure. I'm not at all surprised by that. But him being a partner, I believe, and be interesting to see if anyone can look at this, that he's still making money from Thrive. So that's one thing. Follow the money, right? Why is this getting pushed? He is the one that's pushing the hardest. There's a couple of other people involved. He is pushing it on the pretense that he feels so. Veterinary professional associate VPA is going to be a mid-level for the veterinary field. They're going to have less training than a nurse practitioner, and they're going to be able to do way more and unsupervised. That is the goal. It's going to be a 2-year master's program with no required training, experience, anything getting in beforehand. It's online except for 1 semester in. Online fucking training. 1 semester in. And when they graduate, they are basically want them to be able to do all the things that we can do. So they can go in. It's not just to see the easy appointments. They want them to be able to. He held a informational seminar for people.
Right, but isn't he saying that I'm doing this to address the veterinary shortage?
Yes. So that's the thing that pisses me off is he's doing it to say, oh, we need vets. We're so short-staffed in Colorado that patients are not getting the care they need, and farm, animals are not getting the care. And yes, we do need to figure out how to get to these rural communities. Large animal vets are a rare breed now because the amount that they pay for education does not meet what they're making in salary.
Did you ever want to do large animal medicine?
No, I find it interesting, but no,
exactly.
Definitely not. No, and
those
a lot
animals
of people
can kill
did. You. Yeah, and a lot. Well, the medicine for me wasn't as interesting. I found it fun. Like when I do international stuff, I like working on them, but medicine is not as interesting for me. And a lot of the people that I know that went in school, like tracked going large animal, switched to small because you can't pay your loans with a large animal salary, and you can't be on call 24/7 when you're trying to have a family. Like whether or not you're a woman or a man, you want to be there for your kids once in a while, and being on call every hour of the night is not feasible. Like it's not a practical
for a $50 office call.
Totally. And for people that won't even pay their bill half the time, it's not practical. And then, clientele. So there's a lot of stuff there. So he's trying to say that this is what it's for, this shortage. Yet he comes from the corporate background. This is what's affecting, and this is what's negatively affected our profession all this time. So he also is a partner and chief founding, he basically started a school, Rocky Vista University, I think is what it's called, in Montana. And I think that they're going to be having a veterinary school, which is weird because it's so close to CSU. I'm not sure if that's going to be online. And I strongly think that he's going to have a VPA school as well. It's not listed on their website, but it's been talked about in the groups, that's something that's to come. CSU already has plans for it. And that's honestly disgraceful. I'm really pissed that my alma mater is doing that. And I've talked to AVMA, some people high up in AVMA. So Bob Murdaugh, tried to get AVMA to be behind this, and they said, "Fuck no, this is a terrible idea. Yes, we should be promoting our technicians, our certified technicians, to be able to do more and have the pay reflect that, but absolutely not bringing a new position in that doesn't even help the veterinarian or the technician. It's just pushing both of them out. Don't support it." So then he ran for president for AVMA and didn't get approved. He lost. So basically they tried to backdoor it into Colorado by having Proposition 129.
Correct.
And then they tried to tell the voters all the same shit. Veterinary shortage, blah, blah, blah. They are not getting large animal training. They're promising them $100,000 salary as a VPA starting out. You think that those people are going to go work in a rural area when large animal and mixed animal vets aren't making $100,000? No fucking way. And their tuition at a private school is going to be so expensive.
Well, there's just so many questions that pop in my head. But I mean, the thing is, when I think of that, first off, you have to find a veterinarian that's willing to risk his license.
Yeah.
Or her license.
Yeah.
Correct?
Correct.
Number one.
Yes. Because the liability's on you.
All right.
He's already said that. Yeah.
Right. So
Yeah.
Maybe I let them do a cat neuter.
Yeah, exactly. A cat neuter. Like,
yeah.
that's the extent of what I would allow. But I could train a tech to do a cat neuter. They could do a tech. Yeah.
Right, exactly.
Like,
but I mean, but could you imagine though?
Yeah.
Could you imagine?
Yeah.
These people are going to freak the F out.
They're going to kill something. And then I'm like, there's just no way in his informational
seminar. How you can even get liability insurance for that?
He basically said, someone was asking what amount of supervision. He's like, yeah, I foresee them being able to do splenectomies. Well, does the vet need to be scrubbed in with them? No. Well, do they need to be in the building? We're still working that out. Well, that's bullshit.
Well, he's just talking smoke.
Yeah, no, but they're going, and you say, like, you have to have a vet willing to. Well, guess what? He has all these corporate connections, Thrive and VCA. Everybody was donating, oh my gosh, to try to get that bill passed. He has so much to gain financially from that bill passing between Rocky Vista University and his connections with Thrive, assuming he still is a partner there, because his money is just going to keep growing if they can get in people who get paid less. Well, and they're not going to go to the area where we have a shortage. There's no chance of that.
I know. They're not going to come to California.
Yeah. No, they're not going to come. But they're also not going to go work in the rural communities that need it. We are starting to see an oversaturation of vets coming out because all of a sudden all these schools are popping up. The issue is the sustainability.
Well, here are the stats.
Yeah. Yeah, tell me.
7,800 open jobs.
Okay.
4,000 veterinarians graduate a year.
Okay.
Of those 4,000 veterinarians, 38% of them are done within 5 to 10 years with the profession.
Wow.
You're never going to catch up.
Wow.
You're never going to catch up. And that's why I'm doing what I'm doing.
That's interesting.
But
where is these stats coming from?
AVMA.
The AVMA study? Okay.
So that being said,
38%. But is that counting for the people that go and do research in CDC?
It doesn't matter. They're not in practice.
Okay. So it's talking specifically about veterinarians staying in practice. Okay. All right. Because a lot of them do go to those other sectors, and that's okay.
Well, I've tried to make it very clear that those are other choices. Sure. You don't have to go to practice.
Sure.
But don't leave the profession.
Yes.
Like, the profession is amazing.
Yeah.
But, you know, the thing is, what really scares the hell out of me, and you bring that up, that new university, how about all these other universities that are popping up?
Oh, my gosh.
The one in Indiana
everywhere.
is being run by, actually, a classmate of mine. I love her, Tina Villaret. But it's an online veterinary school.
It's really, really scary.
Who's going to teach these veterinary students, number one?
No.
I mean, we don't even have veterinarians that cover practice and all these other jobs that are open.
Yep.
Yet, we're going to find veterinarians to go teach in school?
Yeah.
And my other thing is, why aren't veterinary schools allowing general practitioners like me?
Yeah. To come in and teach. CSU had a whole we had a whole... rotation on general practice, and it was
forget
all
that.
Just
come in there and start teaching and guest lecturing and doing all that.
Totally, yeah.
But I get, and
yeah,
that's
but Western does a lot of that. But the big ones, the big schools.
But the problem with
doing
Western,
that.
I still have, is that there's no control over your senior year.
Yeah, there's no, and then also the lack of lectures. Like one of my best friends went there, so we always talk about the pros.
I applied at Western. I never heard back. Well, I'm like, wow, I got 32 years experience in the profession. I have an MBA.
You applied to teach there?
Yeah.
Oh,
I have my MBA.
Yeah, I actually almost applied too. Because I think the idea of doing these case-based discussions is great. But I don't think that should be the only way you learn. Like problem-based learning, they were starting to put into CSU. We'd get like one of those roundtable discussions a semester. I loved those. Like I thought that was just a great way to learn. And I wish they did more of them. But to miss lectures altogether... when you're getting lectured from like some of the best, the best of the best.
The best of the best in a traditional vet school?
Totally. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Like you can't beat that.
Well, yeah. And, the problem is that if you look, the national board passing rate is dropping.
So much lower. Yeah. Do you know what the stats are? I don't know.
Well, I don't want to say the stats because then everyone gets all upset. So I'm not going to. I've heard the stats, but you can find them online.
Yeah. But I mean, the thing is, too, is that the testing, like, especially if you look at state ones like California, the fail rate is exponential. That's why a lot of people don't want to come here.
Well, now it's just lost.
Yeah. So, I mean, and that's the difference.
I scored a 96% on my California
there you go.
State board.
Good.
Everyone from Illinois who came passed.
Good.
13 of us.
Good.
Davis had like a 60% pass rate, and they offered a class on how to pass it.
That's funny. Yeah, it was...
well, because they were the ones who were tracking.
Yeah. Well, I didn't study for the California ones because I did so well on NAVLE. I was like, oh, maybe I like was so worried for nothing. And then I get to the California ones. I passed, but yeah, that was stressful. I was like asking, there was a
My whole test
lot
was
of mixed animal. Yeah.
Pig medicine was my whole test.
I had
And
a
I
lot
went
of
to Illinois and
exotics.
I was like, boo, boo,
You got that.
boo.
I had all these exotic questions. And I'm like, of all the fucking species.
So the first veterinarian I worked for out here, he had 13 questions on rabbit therogenology.
Shit. Yeah.
I remember I had a national board question that was, how thick is the fat at the dorsal fin of a beluga whale?
Why? Like, why does anyone need to know
Well,
that?
if you're going to do an IM injection,
No,
you got to know how big the needle is on the beluga whale.
Come on, you're gonna know if you decide to go that pathway. Like, give me a break. I think that's ridiculous.
Well,
I'm sorry.
I mean, you got to get rid of the
I think it should be
perfectionists.
practical. I think it should be practical exams. Come in and figure out what's wrong with this dog on his exam.
120-pound golden spay, go.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, seriously. Yeah. Well, and also you look at these pathways for allowing veterinarians from other countries to come in here and practice, and they make it so difficult and so expensive. And I completely understand that the education is different. And so I understand that you need to have more rigorous testing.
Not the European veterinary schools.
Yeah.
But Mexico, Colombia.
Yeah, well, I've gone to those schools. I've literally gone to the school in Mexico. Like, that was one of the rotations that I had, was an exchange down there. So I see the differences, right? But the issue that I have is that I know quite a few people. I know one of the technicians that I work with. He is from Iran, and brilliant man. He's passed the veterinary side of it multiple times. It's the grammar. It's the English grammar part that he keeps failing. And he started telling me some of these questions. I'm like, I don't know the fucking answer to that. I literally fluent in English. Obviously, it's my first language, and I do not know the answer to that. Like, I'm sorry. I don't think that that's right. I think if you can pass all the other rigorous veterinary questions, I do not think that they should make the other part the limiting factor. So, but you're going to have a VPA come in instead.
Well, yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I think if anything, give them 1 year at a vet school.
Do they have to do undergrad first? And then go get a master's? No.
I think so. I'm assuming. I haven't looked at that, but there's no standardization as far as what they need or hours, which is very concerning. That may adapt. That may change. But
they're just going to figure it on the fly?
Yeah, so anatomy, all that shit's going to be online. Like, give me a break. You need to be in there and feeling and looking at a cadaver. Like, you need that. And you're going to get one semester, and they're trying to say, they're going to get.
Let's talk about anatomy, though. Yeah. Like, when you're doing surgery and you have a vet student going, "Hey, what's that?"
Oh, fuck no.
I'm like, I don't know. I just don't touch it.
That's the I don't know thing. Yeah. I think of you.
It's pulsating.
I always ask you all those questions, and you're like, I don't fucking know, little T. Don't ask stupid questions.
You just got to avoid it.
Yeah, you were like, no.
See, it's pulsating.
Yeah. You used to try to dance around it, and then finally it was like, Lil T, stop fucking asking. I don't know.
Well, I mean, the thing is,
it's not
what
important.
I would do though is I'd make you go look it up.
Yeah, that's the best. So anytime an intern asks me something I don't know, that's time for you to go look it up.
And don't go on ChatGPT.
Yeah, no, I know.
But that's what they do now.
Yeah.
So,
but yeah, no, it's really concerning because to me, it's like if you want to make it so that it's 2 years and only one semester is in person, and they're saying you're going to get just as much surgery experience as us, well, great. Then you need to be giving vets more experience. Like, that's the concern. You're taking that. That's not okay or acceptable. If you think you can teach it in 2 years, then teach vets.
I don't think I pray that would never pass in California.
We'll see. We'll see if there's enough corporate money. They go the bill route instead of trying to get it. The AVMA absolutely does not agree with it.
California's too liberal to pass a bill like that.
We'll see, because people want more affordable care. But if you look at the human side, you pay the exact same amount of money to see a mid-level practitioner as you do to see an MD. And
you're lucky if you see an MD now.
Yeah, well, I mean, believe me, I have like 7 different specialists for my care, and it's concerning. It's concerning. And the fact that they're going to get less training than mid-levels on the human side and do more right away, it's nuts. And no internship requirements. And instead, you say the education internationally, it's, whatever, you don't think it's as good. Well, how about instead you give those vets 1 year, like they do with Ross students at a in-state university, have their clinical year be there instead of having them pay $5,000 to take this test multiple times and fail on grammar. You need more vets. These are people that have experience, and you can give them 1 year of stateside training to make sure that they're up to par with what you think they need. And that person will still be better than any VPA that is coming out. That's what I think.
We will.
Yeah.
We'll have to wait and see what happens with that.
But Bob Murdaugh is absolutely just doing it because he stands to gain financially. And to me, there's just so much, like, if you follow the money trail, the partnership that he has not only with the school, but also with all the corporations that stand
everything
to gain.
in life, you follow the money trail.
Follow the money trail. Yep.
Well, there's a conspiracy theory as well that think that these corporates are in bed with all the veterinary pet insurance companies.
Yeah.
But I don't know if that's true because the veterinary pet insurance companies
are happy with the corporations because they're raising the prices. Yeah, I don't think so. I mean, I have pet insurance for my own dog. It's fantastic. Do I worry that it will change? Absolutely, every day. Human medical insurance has got a lot of flaws, but right now, Trupanion is like, that's what I use for my pet. So
I mean, basically, I would love to. We're going to do this again for sure. We can go forever.
We got a lot.
Yeah, we got a lot. So I mean,
oh, that was not that was not while I was.
Yeah, you got bit by a human.
Let's go. I gave you that.
Yeah,
that was not working. That was a drunk. That was a drunk situation. I was not the drunk one.
Oh, that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
Well, good to know.
Yeah, good to know. Don't get bit by a person because that shit is gross. Yeah.
Did he get blood?
Yeah, I bit my finger.
Oh my gosh. Well, on that note, just remember, I mean, so the take homes for today are like, make sure you have a good mentor.
Yeah.
Make sure you're a good learn your communication skills, and it'll take time to get those.
Totally.
Make sure you tell your clients to get pet insurance.
Yeah, I would say so.
Because cost of care is crazy.
Yeah, I would say so.
And then don't sweat the big stuff, the little stuff.
Yeah.
Right?
There's a good
You don't
book.
sweat the little stuff.
Yeah.
Just you're not going to be perfect.
Yeah. Yeah. I was always told to read the book Complications, like normalizing that these things happen. And I think that that's a good, one of my mentors had told me that when I had that case that stuck with me. Because that was a career-changing thing. So, yeah.
Well, shit happens.
Shit does, yeah.
And what are you going to do about it?
Yeah.
If you do everything the best what you can, that's all you can do.
Yeah, and when you make a mistake, you'll never make that mistake again. Ever.
So,
yeah.
Well, little T,
it
was so good seeing you.
I know.
Everyone, thank you for listening. We'll catch you next time.